Hi y'all, we're back. Woo! Get into it! Yes! Okay, so we're here with story time, okay? If y'all wanna watch my passionate rant, my TED Talk, that's the video before this one. I said what I said. If you've already watched it or if you plan on watching it, I said what I said. Okay? I'm just super excited that they cast the music artist Her in the role of Belle in Disney in ABC's anniversary special for the 30th anniversary of Beauty and the Beast being nominated for Best Picture. It comes out in December. I'm looking forward to it. It's supposed to be, it's kind of what they did with the 30th anniversary of The Little Mermaid. And they showed it on ABC and Disney Plus, which that was a really good, that was a whole cool experience because it was like a live action performances and animated sequences from the movie. So I'm excited. I said what I said. I'm excited. So, without further ado, we will go ahead and begin with Kiki's delivery service. We are back. Okay. Am I right? I can reach my water. Hold on. Kiki gets a little irritated. The day after the horrible event at the beach, Kiki went to the western forest to find an ash branch for her new broom. She was no longer interested in a broom with a slender, elegant handle like the one she made before. She needed a type of wood that would be flexible enough to fly through the strongest winds, like a fish in water, yet have a sturdy core. Excuse me. After wavering for a while, she decided to attach the brush from her mother's broken broom to a new handle. Now it's half Mom's and half mine, she said to herself with a shrug. At first she considered making an entirely new broom, but her mother's brush comforted her so much that she couldn't throw it away. Yeah, half and half is best, she spoke to herself again. Gigi was sitting next to her with his eyes closed, but when he heard her whispers, he peeked at the broom and sighed in relief. The only problem was that the broom she made didn't fly very well. Perhaps the branch hadn't dried enough, especially since she had been in such a hurry making it, or maybe it just wasn't used to flying yet. Either way, I've got to master it on my own. Every time she wrote it, she ended up dizzy, but Kiki didn't give up. The issue was that her mother's brush was more energetic than the handle, so the rear end kept bucking like a horse. When that happened, she'd nearly fall off the stick or suddenly flip upside down. Whenever Kiki was flying around in such odd positions, far more townspeople called out to her. Bess, are you alright? Did you catch a cold or something? If you're gonna fall, do it right! Strangely, other people seemed to prefer her new flying pattern, saying, I feel more relaxed now. I used to see you flying through the air like a pointy black streak. You look like a wicked witch from a fairy tale. Kiki thought, how can people like me more when I'm worse at flying? I guess Mom didn't realize that was a thing. 2 days after the broom fuss, the phone for the shop rang. When Kiki picked up, the voice of the artist who had painted Kiki and Gigi burst from the receiver. It's been so long. How are you? I finally finished your portrait. Come and have a look. And afterward, would you mind delivering it to the exhibition venue? I heard you started doing that sort of work. As you know, it's a bit large, and I hope you'll find some way or another. Yes, of course, Kiki started to say. It would be very tricky to carry something so big yet flat like a board. If the wind was blowing, it would be even harder. Wasn't she already having broom trouble? Years earlier, not long after Kiki had learned to fly, she delivered an umbrella to her father in a sudden rain. She remembered how scared she felt when a gust of wind popped the umbrella open and her broom spun like a pinwheel. It's a painting of you, so I'm extra pleased to have you deliver it. The artist seemed certain that Kiki would take the job. Okay then, I'll figure something out, Kiki answered without a choice. Great, now the request is official. Come pick it up tomorrow around noon. I'm excited to show the painting to you too. The next morning, there wasn't so much as a wisp of cloud in the blue sky. Still, Kiki was worried. A clear sky like this in the morning meant that the winds up high were blowing hard, and by noon those winds sometimes came lower. I wonder if I'll be able to carry it all right. It's an important painting. Just then, Kiki remembered the boy from the aviation club. He specifically mentioned he'd studied a lot about how to fly smoothly. She went straight over to Osono to borrow the telephone book to look up the aviation club number and gave them a call. Is the boy, the tall, skinny boy from the Witch's Broom research group there?
Skinny? I don't know what to tell you. We're all pretty skinny.
Oh, well, is there someone with scrapes on his forehead? I mean, if he still has them, I guess.
Ha! That one, he does. He's definitely still scraped up. His name's Tombo. He always says his glasses make him look like a dragonfly. Oh, here he is. Hold on.
A different voice came to the line.
Hello.
This is Tombo. Oh, this is the witch from the other day. My name's Kiki.
Wow, you found her number. Listen, I'm really sorry about what happened. Did I screw up again or something?
No, that's all over with. Today there's something I was hoping you could help me with. Then Kiki asked the best way to carry a large painting in the wind.
You should put out a leash. I think that's your best bet.
Tombo answered right away. What do you mean?
Leave it to me. I think I can help.
Gosh, thanks. The artist's house is on the edge of the forest in the northern park, practically buried in trees. Do you know which one I'm talking about? I'm headed over there right now.
I know the place. It's like a badger's den.
Right. Well, see you there. It really does look like a badger's den, she thought. Kiki hung up laughing, then rushed away and prepared to leave. When Kiki and Gigi landed at the edge of the park, Tombo came running up to them with a big paper bag. When the artist saw Kiki, she cheerfully brought the painting out of the back room. Oh! Kiki exclaimed, and Gigi purred at the same time. The two of them gazed at a picture of a witch in a black dress and her cat across the dark sky. The black was so radiant and beautiful, Kiki looked down at her dress to check whether it was truly that stunning. Her eyes aren't quite right. Tombo had been quiet, but now he chimed in to complain. What's wrong with them? The painter asked, surprised because she hadn't even noticed him yet.
What do you mean, what's wrong? Kiki's eyes are much rounder and prettier.
I suppose I could have painted them like that, but I was trying to bring out her witchiness. The artist observed Tombo with confusion on her face. Oh, this is my friend Tombo. Kiki hurriedly introduced him. He came with a plan to help me carry the painting smoothly. Tombo didn't add anything. He just pursed his lips, took another look at the painting, and got to work. First, he took a bunch of different colored balloons out of his bag. Balloons? Are you going to use those to send flying? The artist asked, nervously holding the painting down.
No, we're going to give it a leash, Tombo said.
Still unsmiling, Tombo took a canister out of the bag. He blew up balloon after balloon and attached long strings to them. Then he screwed a bolt into the frame of the painting and attached the balloons. Lastly, he tied a thicker string over the knots. The balloons rose into the air and the painting hung just above the ground. It didn't float away and it didn't sink. It hovered in perfect balance.
The trick is to get the amount of helium gas and the number of balloons right, said Tombo, looking a little proud of himself.
Kiki, as you fly, hold this thicker string like you're walking a dog. If the wind tries to blow the picture away, pull on the string. Show it if you're in charge. Is he calling my picture a dog? The artist looked at Kiki with concern, but Kiki was staring at Tombo with admiration. She never would have thought of such a solution, and she was grateful that he'd come up with it so easily. I think this'll work, Kiki said. The painting will be a lot lighter this way, and no matter which direction the wind blows, it can move with it. This is a great idea! When Kiki praised him, Tombo finally smiled, flashing his white teeth. And it really was a great idea. When Kiki took off holding the string, the painting obediently followed, and when it twisted in the wind, she would simply slow her pace. Even before she reached the museum, people in the streets are looking out their windows or standing on their roofs saw the real Kiki and Gigi next to their portrait. It looks just like them, said some murmured. It's almost hard to tell which are real. One person even said, it looks better than the real pair. In any case, the painting was very well received. At the museum, spectators constantly crowded in front of the piece, which was titled The Most Beautiful Black in the World. Naturally, the artist was overjoyed. As a thank you, she painted a striking picture of Kiki and Gigi on Kiki's shop sign. But more important, everyone all over the town of Koriko learned about Kiki and her business. In other words, she had managed to advertise just as Gigi had suggested. Even then, from then on, Kiki was busier with work. She delivered flowers, forgotten lunchboxes, even soup to an elderly grandmother living alone. One time, she brought a doctor their forgotten stethoscope. Everyone learned that they could casually stop by and make their requests, but some people tried to take advantage of Kiki. They would make ridiculous demands like carry my backpack and come to school with me or deliver this insult. Of course, she always refused those jobs. As you should. Don't take jobs like that. That's just being mean. Eventually, the hot summer ended and it started to look like fall. Kiki had gotten the hang of her broom and it seemed she finally settled into a good routine. But underneath it all, she was in a bit of a lousy mood. There was no real reason. She just felt irritated. Welcome to being a Libra some days. Just saying. Everything's been so stressful since I got here. I'm just worn out, she sometimes told herself. But deep down, she knew that wasn't it at all. Ever since she delivered the artist painting using Tombo's leash method, the boy had started coming around her shop. One day, he said something she couldn't shake. Maybe it's because you fly or something, Kiki, but you're so easy to hang out with. I can talk to you about anything. I've never met a girl in this town quite like you. At the time, she took it as a compliment, but as the days went on, she couldn't get that last part out of her head. I've never met a girl in this town quite like you. Back then, he said my eyes were prettier than the painting, and now he says he's never met someone in Koriko like me? Are girls from bigger towns different somehow? What does that even mean? She couldn't help but find that strange. One day, one of her slippers was missing, and she took it out on Gigi. This is so annoying! It's fine for you to play with them, but you need to put them back where you're done. How many times have we been through this? I don't have any matching slippers anymore. Gigi yawned and pretended he couldn't hear her. Then the phone rang. Kiki hopped across the room with her single slipper and picked up. A calm voice came over the line. Is this the witch shop? Good day to you. Sure, Kiki said absentmindedly. Can we really request anything? There's something I'd like you to deliver. It's these biscuits. My elder sister, her name is Chrysanthemum, but my name is Violet. It's a bit embarrassing to have such a childish name as an old lady. Ha! Although she knew it might be rude, Kiki cleared her throat. The lady was taking a while to get to the point. You'll go to my sister's house later, the woman continued. First, do you know Goat Road? I'm at the end of it. 1999. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. I'll be right over. Kiki didn't even wait for her to finish before answering quickly and hanging up. She irritably kicked the slipper off her foot into a corner of the room. Kiki found 99 Goat Road easily. When she pulled the string hanging beside the door, there was a soft rattling noise and a voice from the house called, Over here, please! Kiki walked through the alley along the wall and came to an open wooden gate. In the garden, an old woman with her sleeves rolled up to the elbows was doing laundry. There were 4 big tubs in a row, one for whites, one for blacks, one for blues, and one for reds. Soap bubbles sparkled in the sunlight, floating around as if they were alive, which is very true. You should always separate your dark clothes from your colors. So you don't wash your jeans. You typically don't wash your jeans with other clothes. So your jeans should be washed separately. Whites should be washed by themselves. Your delicate clothes should be washed separately. All of your colors should be washed together, except if it's like really, like you don't want, like all your red stuff, because you don't want your stuff to end up pink, should be separate. Fun fact, kids. Fun fact. The white tub had white bubbles, the black tub had black bubbles, the blue tub had blue bubbles, and the red tub had red bubbles. Are you Violet? Kiki asked as she passed through the gate. Without pausing her washing, the woman nodded. Her hair was cut short in a bob and scattered with gray. Beads of sweat stood on her forehead. I'm from Kiki's delivery service. Violet quickly wiped her hands on her apron and looked up at Kiki. Not the witch shop. Well, I deliver things. I heard you're a witch. I thought you took on any kind of job. But if you did any job, then you might steal my business too. Anyway, I'm glad you're only making deliveries. My business is a bit rare, you see. The woman let out a loud laugh. Ha! I'm a handy woman. It's similar to your job. Or maybe it's not. Violet giggled at her own comment. But I'm happy you're here. She plunged her hands back into a tub and continued her washing. My sister is so inflexible. If I say I'll bring something over today, it absolutely must be today or she'll get upset. Just a second, I'm going to wash this. Scrub-a-dub-dub. She sang to liven up the task of rubbing soap on a white shirt. Delivering every little thing is a pain, so really, I'd like to live with her, but she says it's easier to live on her own. Okay, scrub-a-dub-dub, whap-a-dap-dap. Yep, she can't bake a single biscuit. Scrub-a-dub. At least once a week I have to take something over there, or there's something to talk to her about.
We're each other's only siblings. Heave-ho, scrub-a-dub, wab-a-dub, heave-ho, scrub-a-dub, wab-a-dub.
And yes, this is written in the book, y'all. I'm not kidding.
This spot isn't coming out. Once more. Can you believe it? But today I'm so busy I don't have time. Still washing.
She looked up at Kiki.
Sorry. I don't mean to keep you waiting. The weather was bad until yesterday and I've never had this much laundry pile up in my life. I'm getting complaints from customers and I have to dry these as soon as possible. You're washing all of this? Kiki's eyes widened. Yep. Isn't it that obvious? By hand? That's right. I don't have a washing machine, but I take on odd jobs to help people make do, so I have to make do with my hands too.
As she talked, they continued their mechanical motions. Kiki watched Violet's quick, skillful work in wonder. She stretched an item along the washboard, ran the soap over it, then rubbed it, scrub-a-dub against the board. She spread the fabric back out, wab-a-dap, to check if it was clean. She sang quietly along to her motions. Scrub-a-dub-dub, wab-a-dub-dab, scrub-a-dub-dub, wab-a-dub-dab-dab, scrub-a-dub-dub, wab-a-dub-dab, scrub-a-dub-dub-dub-dub, scrub-a-dub-dub-dub-dub. Bubbles floated continuously up into the sky. In no time the whites, the blacks, the blues, and the reds had all been washed. Then she drew more water from the hose to rinse everything with the same scrub-a-dub, wap-a-dap motions. Kiki watched in a trance, completely forgetting that she was there to work. Finally, all the clothes had been wrung out and stacked as a mountain of twisted bars in a basket. The whites were on the bottom, then the blacks, then the reds, blues, and the reds. Violet straightened up, put a hand on her back, and looked at the sky with a deep breath. Whew, guess it's time to dry them. She brought out some twine and stood there thinking for a moment, holding the end. Then she turned to Kiki, who stood next to her carrying Gigi and her broom. Sorry, but could you hold the end of this for me? I'm going to hang the laundry. There's a lot, so I need a long line. Violet handed Kiki the twine without waiting for an answer. She picked a red ribbon off the mountain of laundry and hung it up. We start with the littlest things, she said, again in her sing-song voice. And speedily hung baby socks, a baby skirt, a woman's blouse, and more. With each item, Kiki moved a little farther. The line grew heavy and began to sag. It's going to touch the ground, Kiki shouted. Oh dear, can you stand on your tiptoes then? Violet stood back as she hung up a big red tablecloth. This isn't working, it's going to touch. Kiki held the twine above her head and hopped. Hold it higher, or perhaps you could use your broom and fly with it, Violet said, looking up. Oh! That could work, Kiki said without thinking. Then she mounted her broom and flew as high as the eaves of the house. Violet leaned back over the basket. Next were the blues. We start with the little things. A mother's handkerchief, a boy's cap, a father's underwear, a girl's swimsuit, a father's shirt, curtains, light blue sheets lined up all in a row. The line threatened to touch the ground again, so Kiki flew as high as the top of the roof. Violet hung them item after item, working up a sweat hanging. Then came the blacks. A father's socks, a boy's pants, a mother's skirt, and a grandmother's dress lined up all in a row. Then came the whites. A baby's mittens, a bib, underwear, and clothing, more and more, bigger and bigger, a mother's slip, a father's shorts, and finally, 5 shirts. Ah, that's it. Violet seemed relieved to be done. She tied her end of the line to the fence. What should I do with this? Kiki yelled from far above the rooftops, waving her end of the line. Oh dear, what do we do? When Violet looked up, she threw her hands over her head in surprise. Sorry, you can tie it at any old place. But, Kiki shouted back, up in the sky there was obviously nowhere to tie the twine, but if she let go, the laundry would have to be done all over again. Kiki gave up with a shrug and pulled the line to tie it around her waist. Wow, it's like we have a big long tail. Gigi leaned over the broom's brush and looked at the long line of clothes that waved like flags. How pretty! They're like the flags at field day. Violet hopped around below and clapped her hands. People walking past looked up in surprise. A string of kites! A string of kites! A bunch of kids gathered around cheering. This is no joke! Kiki tried to frown, but she couldn't fight the smile underneath. Well, I guess I have no choice but to hurry up and dry these. Kiki began to fly, leisurely circling far above Violet. Each time the wind gusted against her, her unpleasant feelings from earlier slipped further away.
She tried singing the tune she had heard from Violet earlier. Scrub-a-dub and a whap-a-dap, scrub-a-dub and a whap-a-dap. And when she did, the sounds of the laundry in the wind accompanied her. Whap-a-dap, 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 whap-a-dap. The sun in the clear autumn sky quickly dried the sun and the laundry. Soon the sounds changed from whap, flap to flutter, 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 flutter. Thank you! Violet called from below. As she tugged the line, one by one, she removed the items, and as Violet went, Kiki gradually came down too. By the time the whites, blacks, blues, and reds made a fluffy mountain in the basket, Kiki finally reached the ground. Violet ran over to her. I can't believe they've dried so fast. You're a huge help. I wouldn't expect any less from a handy woman, Kiki said with a smile. You sure gave me an odd job as a laundry pole. Violet shrugged her shoulders. Yes, that's right. This is how we make do. If we manage, then we're happy. If we don't, then we're not, she said in her sing-song voice, and carried the basket of clean laundry into the house. When Kiki followed her inside, she found all sorts of curious things. For starters, the door was split in two, so one could open it for just their face or just their feet. The door broke, so I make do with two smaller doors, said Violet. The string by the front door was connected to a bundle of walnuts, nails, and spoons. She pointed to it with a smile. This is a homemade doorbell. When you pulled the string before, didn't it make a nice sound? As Kiki was admiring the bell, she noticed a single boot with tall, fluffy grass growing out of it. And this is a homemade vase. Cute, right? Violet smiled and little wrinkles gathered round her eyes. Oh my, here I am getting all pleased with myself. But I was going to have you take biscuits to my sister, wasn't I? With an embarrassed look on her face, she brought 2 bags out of the kitchen. My sister lives in Pointy Manor on Dead Tree Road. It's the pointiest building on the street. And yes, these are for you. A little thank you. They're called Stardust Biscuits. When I was baking them, I messed up and they came out too small. So I made do with an adorable name. Kiki was happy to have them. When Kiki arrived at Pointy Manor, Violet's sister Chrysanthemum snapped, How spoiled she is having someone else deliver them instead of coming herself. I'll give her a piece of my mind. The Chrysanthemum's eyes were happy when she peered into the bag. That night, if you were near Kiki's shop, you could hear voices singing over and over. This is how a handy woman makes do. If we manage, then we're happy. If we don't, then we're not. Inside, you'd find Kiki and Gigi singing into the solo slipper, a homemade microphone of their own. And that is where we end for today. Thank you all so very much for joining in. I love you all very much.